was 1990. It was my second year here, the beginning of my second year here. It was the first day of school. Now back then, let me set the stage for you here a little bit. It was a half day. It was the last week of August, and it was usually about 95 degrees outside when we started. And we had no air conditioning here in Glen Crest. So by the end of that half day, for a lot of the ladies who were wearing dresses and skirts, you could look down and look at your legs and they would be glowing with sweat all over them. So at the end of that, I was coming to the end of that first day of my second year. I was all 23 years old, and I had a group of 6th graders coming in, about 30 11-year-olds from my last class. I was teaching speech communications at the time. So here they all come in, and for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I finished my opening day spiel, we'll call it, a little bit early. So I had a little bit of time left over. So being that young student, that young teacher who wants to make an impact on her students, I want to be the one that they're talking about at the dinner table. I want to be the one that they thought was fun as they walk out. I think to myself, what can I do with this extra time? I know. I'll let them ask me questions. Let's do a little Q&A and see how that goes. So I say to the class, go ahead and ask me a question and I'll answer it. So I'm thinking in my head, it's going to be, how old are you? It's going to be, where are you from? It's going to be, where did you go to school? Are you married? All those kinds of questions. And I was right. All of those kinds of questions came up. And then I called on John. John sat in the back row, and I said, you sir, you got a question, go ahead. Hey, are you a virgin? I'm from Glen Ellen. I'm 23. Now I don't have an answer for that one. Let's see. I went home that night, and I was still living at Mom and Dad's house, and I was mad. Can you believe what that kid asked me in class in 1990? Can you believe what that kid asked me? And then I started thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I was a little bit to blame there too. Because I never stated any expectations that went along with that little Q&A. I never said be appropriate. I never said respectful. I never said mind your audience. I never said any of those things. I just said ask me anything. And he did. Now, after that year, for the next few years, I started working on expectations and stating them pretty immediately in my classes. And when I talk about expectations, let's get on the same page. We're talking about how you behave, being responsible for what you've done and what you haven't done when it comes to things like homework, and also being ready, being prepared every day. Those are the kinds of expectations I'm talking about. And I know a lot of teachers think that if we spend too much time on the expectations, the relationship won't get created. It actually doesn't work that way. When you lay the foundation with the expectations, then you can start on the relationships. And as it says up here, I am proof that you can have it all. You can run a tight ship. You can have those high expectations and still have the strong relationships. Now, for me, expectations were pretty easy. My parents instilled a lot of high expectations. Teachers certainly did. I would say a lot of them also came from coaches that I had and directors that I had, whether it be choral directors, theater directors, whatever. I didn't have to be perfect. It wasn't perfection that they were looking for, just high standards of how you carried yourself and how you went about doing what it was they were asking you to do. Dr. Tamler asked me a good question when we first started talking about this last spring. She said, well, that's easy for you because you came from parents with high expectations. You have a background of that. What do you do with the students that walk into your class that don't come from that kind of a background? Well, like Corey and Mike said earlier, that's where you start to differentiate wherever you can. Whether it's repeating and repeating and repeating, and we've all done this, repeating whenever you have to. Whether it's pointing to a poster that hangs in your classroom that has the expectations written on it. I've done that before. You know, number 3, number 4, over there, and you keep directing. You can do it that way. Little reminders where you walk down a row and go, hey, you know, I need that homework out, get it going, let's go, we're going in a couple minutes. Very quick reminders and you move on. But when you get a real challenge, like I had last year, then you really have to differentiate. You gotta reach into your bag of tricks and see what you've got. Last year I had a student where expectations were just not a part of his makeup at all. Whether it be from his family background or not, they just were not in him. So I had to come up with a different way of dealing with him. So every day, pretty much every day, I met him outside of my room, out in the hallway, as he was coming up to class, and we had our own little private session before class began. Could it make me late to start class? Yeah, it could. And that was okay, because I figured it was balanced. I'd end up reminding him of the expectations inside class, so I might as well do it outside. I would meet him, he would come walking up to me, and I never said the words, "These are my expectations for today." I didn't say that. I made sure I made it more personal with him so that not only could I start the expectations, but we could start a relationship too, because we were going to be doing this every day. So I looked at him as he came up to me every day and I said the same words. I made it very personal. This is what I need from you today in class. Kind of like it's a favor, but kind of like he looked at me like this was what was important to me. This is what I need from you today. He didn't always like it at times when we met, but then he started to like it the more I got to know him a little bit. And there was one day where I said, this is what I need from you today, A, B, and C. And he looked at me and said, great, you went like this. And I was kind of startled. I was like, is there something in there? And I went, shook his hand. Hey, thanks. He said thanks. Hey, thanks. And went in. By the end of the year, he would come up to me in our little meeting and look me in the eye and say, I know it's Friday, I've got my spelling, it's in my backpack, I know we got a number off, is there anything else, what else? He was telling me what was coming. Are there any surprises today? That's always what he wanted to know. And that was it. That worked for him because he didn't come from that background. You can have it all. You can build those relationships. And like Emily said, just because I run a tight ship, which sounds kind of like a negative, but I like it more and more that I hear it. Just because I run a tight ship doesn't mean there isn't a conga line on my ship. Doesn't mean we don't have limbo night on my ship. We still have a good time. And for those that need tangible proof, you need to see the proof. I've got it right here in this 2 pieces of paper. I'm going to tell you one more quick story. Student A and Student B. This goes back about 8 years. Student A and Student B were both in my regular literacy class. It was a class that I could probably describe as most of the students' expectations were not high on their list, ever. They weren't really interested in expectations. Student A and Student B stuck out for me. Student A had come from an advanced literacy class in 6th grade and had managed to do a great job working himself out of it. Didn't want to do the work, didn't test very well, made sure he didn't test very well. He wanted out of that class, and his wish was granted and he was back in regular. Student B, his only goal was to be an international soccer star someday. That was all he wanted. He was very clear about stating that with me, all the time. So I had to think to myself, how am I going to work these expectations? How is there ever going to be a relationship with these two? I had to get working pretty quickly. Student A, first thing I did with him, put him back in advanced class. You're getting shifted back out into an advanced class. I made him a deal. You're going to advanced. You're going to be in my advanced. So you're still going to have me, but you're going to go into my advanced class instead. He wasn't happy about that at all. But he went, and they welcomed him right into the class. He didn't do a lot of work, pulled his C's and D's, but he was where he belonged. Student B, we had lots of long talks that year about if you're going to be a celebrity and you're going to be a soccer star someday, there's going to be contracts that you need to read. That's where I come in. I help you read. There's going to be interviews that you're going to have to give. That's where I come in. We're going to work with how you speak in public. So I had to sell him on and off throughout the entire year on my expectations and how they could relate later for him. In 8th grade, when I no longer had them, we had, I think it might have been one of our first years of doing this, we had Gratitude Day. where, as you know, kids write thank you letters to faculty members, staff members, that they feel a certain amount of gratitude toward. Now, in my mailbox at the end of that day, I had 5 or 6, a lot of them were from girls that said, oh, I had a lot of fun, you were a lot of fun, we laughed a lot, that kind of thing, from 8th grade. And then lo and behold, my last 2 letters that I still have saved, I went right to my bookshelf at my house and they were there, from student A and student B. First one is student A, the one that had been moved from regular back to advanced where he belonged. Dear Mrs. Abood, I'm grateful for the time I spent in your class. You allowed me to see my potential in school. At the time, I thought you were just nagging me to do my work. But now I see that you knew that I could do the work all along. When you asked to give a reason for why I shouldn't be in advanced, the only one I could come up with was that I was scared. I was scared because in regular I felt safe with all the other students mentally, although it was kind of boring. To wrap this letter up, I just want to say thank you for pushing me to higher standards. Student B, the soccer star to be. Thanks for everything, Mrs. Abood. You've made a huge impact in my life. You've taught me lessons that I can apply to life and school. I appreciate everything you've done to make me a better person. You pushed me to my limits, and I thank you for that because it changed my attitude. I thank you for showing me my rights from my wrongs. I'm not quite there to being an A type of student, but without you, I wouldn't be close. Thanks again for everything. Now, what about John? The are you a virgin question, John? That kid? I answered John's question for those that are interested. What was my answer? My answer was, and I remember it as if I said it yesterday, my answer without waiting more than 2 seconds tops. I looked at him and I thought in my head, I gotta make a statement here. And I looked at him and I said, if you can tell me how that's relevant to my class, I'll answer it. And he looked over at his buddies, and his buddies looked over at him, and his buddies said, get out now, get out. And John said, nope, that's okay. Nope. John was in my class again in 7th grade, because back in those days speech was 2 years. I had him again. And we had a great relationship. I had his siblings. I even had the opportunity to talk to him when he was about, I'd say 24, 25 years old. A friend of his called me, had my personal phone number, called me, said, John's in trouble, he needs someone to talk to, can you come meet us? And I did. So John and I went on to have a nice, strong relationship, even though we may have gotten off to a rocky start when it came to expectations. So I leave you with one thought today. A wish for you, that you can have it all. Whatever it takes, try and make it happen. And if this is your first day in the district, good luck to you. If it's your last first day, I hope you have the best memories possible for the school year. Welcome back.